Welcome back to Cade Sport, the virtual cycling platform that invites you, dear viewer, to stop pedaling and start cycling. You join me, Mark, today as I guide you through another Turbo Tuesday of rip-roaring races live. And so where are we racing today? Let's take a look. So Monument Valley, a new map. This is going to be our all-power, all-road course. A minimal and low skill course, 4.5 kilometers per lap for a total of just shy of 14 kilometers, 3 lap total. And this is our big multiplier, our 3 times multiplier. Race 2 is going to see us take on the sudden lane change, 0.8 kilometers per lap. So just a small one today, 6 laps for 4.7 kilometers total. Nice flat one as well, a 2 times multiplier. Then for the third and final race, we're going to be getting into the high skill course, and this is another new map, and this has been designed by our very own Peter Kastrup, the man from the Netherlands who you would have seen on his rollers. Very impressive, impresses us all. Another 0.8 kilometers per lap, 6 kilometer total for a 5.1 kilometer and a 2 times multiplier. That's going to be our big climbing map as well as the mountain bike map. So that's 51 meters total elevation. And what power-ups are our caders, our contenders going to have today? Well, no power-ups on race 1, as that is our all-power, all-road course. Race 2, however, is going to see our riders being able to use Uncrashable, which both helps with cornering and with being able to ghost through obstacles. So this really is going to help with the technical aspect of that course. All of our power-ups today are 10 seconds usage per, with a 1 minute 30 or 90-second recharge time, and they're all going to be unlimited. Race 3 is going to see Corner Caper, which is specifically for being able to corner well, of course, and being able to focus more on putting power down than on steering. Razor's Edge, that makes our caders so thin that the wind is going to be able to just sail around them, giving them the aero advantage to really be able to get that power up, get that speed up, which is the all-important aspect there. So let's take a look as we're about to go live. On the start line here, just 2 seconds to go. A lot of familiar names back, and we're straight out of the gates. Carl straight on the front, Timothy on the front. Everybody looking to bunch up here because they know it's the all-power, all-road course, looking to form that peloton, or maybe even an echelon today, which is going to be quite impressive. So this is our fairly flat desert course, desert town / desert mining town. So for me as the Canadian here, I'm going to liken that to Drumheller or those nearby towns like Atlas in the Alberta Badlands. And it does actually kind of look like that, quite arid, but also picturesque in its own way. So we got Carl holding back here. I'm sure he's holding back to give us great guns later into the course here. Alfonso on the front, Erhan sticking close to the front. Erhan's been very impressive lately, really coming up in the group and really coming up in that league table, really figuring out how to hold, I should say, in that peloton, and to really use that draft benefit to his advantage, when to put down the power, when to surge, when to collect himself. So fantastic group we've got going today. Look at that, we've got Vibeke, Carl Axel and Erhan on screen. Good rhythm, nice and smooth. I'm sure it's going to be different by the end of this 14 kilometers, however. So we've got Homer in the group as well. I'm pretty sure we're going to see him give some surges, give some endurance style effort off the front. Pedro holding good pacing, and he's been doing incredibly well lately. Oh, just seen a crash there. Surging into those corners, which might just want to do what everyone else is doing there, which is just to freewheel, as it's known in North America, or to coast, as the rest of the world calls it, through those corners, just because they're kind of a horseshoe. And speaking of horseshoe and Drumheller, that is the name of the famous canyon there, Horseshoe Canyon. That is very picturesque, actually. Erhan in second place there, Timothy in third. Lisa coming up the rear here, and Andy Webber, who I believe is maybe a new contender in the races here, and welcome, Andy. So Lisa, of course, rides with the West London Cycling Group, of which David Morrison is the ringleader, if you will, and he does the commentary on the West London VR races that are hosted right here on Cade Sport that you can watch every Wednesday. So Lisa has just given us an incredible surge there, coming from behind the peloton to the front and holding a good endurance effort. But of course, this has challenged everyone to bunch back up again. So let's see what this does. Is this going to be a great effort to kind of soften those quads, soften those glutes, really get everyone full up on lactic acid so that Lisa can surge? We'll have to wait and see. Mr. Garcia there at the rear of our front peloton, so we seem to have broken a little bit into our front of the chase peloton, I think, from what I'm seeing here. Of course, Timothy on the front, an absolute powerhouse, and doing some great teamwork there with Vibeke, doing some great draft benefit work there. Erhan coming back round to try and get that third place position. Andy Webber holding solid with that power there. So today we are using Pro Power Mode, as we routinely do on these races. For anyone who's new, and you'll probably get bored of this if you're a regular viewer, but I like to do this every time for anyone who's new to any particular broadcast, including today's. It is powered by Cade Sport's patented Together Tech. And how does that work? Well, the idea is that everybody's FTP, functional or full threshold power, which is what you can hold for between 20 minutes and 1 hour, regardless of what that is, individually, as we're going to have very different riders here on course, we're actually going to have that leveled out by the system to 421 watts. So riding that FTP, riding that threshold, people will be able to stay together in ride, which means that even if you have categoried out, even if you've leveled up to a new category or you've maybe dropped back, maybe if you haven't been doing your training in other virtual platforms, you'll be able to come here and still ride together regardless of what your threshold has become and regardless of what your friends' thresholds have become. So threshold, or the sweet spot, which is about 15 to 20% below that, you'll pretty much stick together. So riders who really want to push it today and win are going to have to give us surges, sprints, and some good endurance effort off the front to really push beyond that threshold and really break away from the pack to win. And let's see who that's going to be. So we just saw Timothy there giving us some incredible power. Always a fantastic pain face on Timothy. Love it. And Alfonso there, just cool, calm and collected. Even though he's not on that team, but he does look cool, calm and collected. Just nice, smooth pedal strokes, looking fantastic. Same with Erhan as well, just keeping that rhythm going nice and smooth. Great peloton and bunch work here by the entire team. So is this Andy Webber making a surge on the front here? Beautiful drone and helicopter shot there, provided by our wonderful vision mixer, Damon, out of London in the UK. That was Andy, and Andy and Lisa seem to be jostling for that lead on the front. Perhaps in effort to get the whole group to speed up and have to push through those cranks, really get that resistance up and try and soften down the effort of the opponents. Verbeke, they're doing a great surge on the inside. So we're coming down this fantastic long straight, coming to the next horseshoe. Timothy there taking the lead again. Look at that, fantastic stuff. Freewheeling into the corner, pedaling out. Amazing stuff. Oh, Lisa just took a crash there. Timothy's opening up a gap. Let's see what people can do on these straights when they can put that power down again. There we go, Belgian Timothy in his red room of pain, his pain cave. Awesome stuff. And Verbeke, fellow Hive team member, sticking close and doing some good teamwork here. Great rhythm and great rocking to keep that keep the pain when you're static on a bike away from those all-important areas. So Verbeke taking the front and jostling here with Andy Weber and Alfonso. All of these very powerful, very fast contenders, all keeping very close to the front of that group. And here we've got Carl Axel, straight from Sweden, the Soaring Swede, as I have nicknamed him, keeping really great rhythm there, knowing when to surge, as you can see with those pedal strokes, and when to ease off of the cranks. A consummate professional. Look at that. Mr. Weber surging out of the corner. Fantastic display of skills there. And Alfonso live from Portugal, putting in his contention for that top spot. So we're coming towards the end, closing in on the end, I should say, of the second lap, going into the third and final. So we're beginning to see those heart rates go up. Equalized heart rates, maximal would be 200 on the equalized heart rate system, and anything below that should be fairly close to accurate reflection of real-world heart rate. So we're about to go through those sandstone arches, come round, and then begin the third and final lap. Sorry. Here we go. This is where Carl begins to put in the power, begins to put in the speed. Nice and stable through these horseshoes. Fantastic work from the entire peloton there. And look at that power coming in for chase on Alfonso there, going up to almost 900 watts. So we've got some of our contenders there. I've got no idea how Alfonso can put that kind of power down and just looks so cool and collected. Not even a pain face. Fantastic stuff. I must admit, I'm jealous. If you've seen me on my webcam, when I'm on the races, I'm just red. I just turn into a raspberry. Yeah, I think we all wish we could look that cool on the bike. And so Verbeke here coming in for a challenge with Andy Webber, literally shoulder to shoulder. Fairly even wattage as well. So just around threshold or just over on both. And here we go. Our next live broadcast is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Thursday. And you can watch this live on Facebook here, on the CadeSport YouTube channel, or on ESTV, on all of the different ways that you can watch ESTV. So you have many an opportunity and many different avenues by which to view these live. Timothy, beginning to make your surge for the pole position as we come into the final 2/3 or 3/4, if you will, of that third lap. Another beautiful aerial shot there from Damon. And there we have Damon live. Look at that great array of stuff. A consummate professional to be able to run all of that, I'm certain. So Lisa coming from to take that pole position again, really beginning to stretch out that peloton. Let's see what kind of a chase people can put in to really hold that peloton together. Oh, Verbeke just tempered that push just in time to save that in the corner. And we saw a couple crashes there on the aerial cam. Oh, yeah, Lisa. Oh, and Frank by perhaps understeering a little and hitting the rear wheel of, I believe that was Verbeke. So we've got our 3 Europeans beginning to break away at the front here. Team Hive putting in another impressive effort. Wow, look at that surge from Andy to catch. Could it be a North American win today? We're going to have to see as we roll our way through 1 or 2 kilometers. It's Verbeke and Andy now, again, shoulder to shoulder. This could be anyone's game as well, as I believe this is a fairly new map to everybody. So nobody's really had the chance to figure out when to surge, when to sprint for that final push. So we're going to have to see who really times this right. Who is most confident in knowing how that should feel within themselves and what they can really put to that. If that makes any sense. Oh no, I think Pedro's had a technical there. When somebody goes to that like that, that means they've been lapped. So we've seen Andy make a big push right now. Over threshold. Look at that, closing in on 800 watts. So 0.8 of a kilometer. And this is where riders don't want to get that tunnel vision on the rider ahead of them. Like we just saw with Timothy there. You want to make sure you just keep nice and solid through those corners. Look at this, 0.3 of a kilometer left. Oh, and there's a corner right at the end of this 0.2 of a kilometer. I think whoever designed this map knew exactly what they were doing. Oh, there's Carl. Fantastic, equal spacing, almost entirely equal spacing between Carl, Andy and Verbeke as they cross the line there. Fantastic effort from everybody. Wonderful effort from Andy, who I feel somewhat confident in saying is a new contender here in the CadeSport Pro Power races. So fantastic effort, and that wattage going over the line there. Breaking 800 watts. Fantastic stuff. So let's take a look at our leaderboard here. So it's only half a second between Carl and Andy, and another 3/4 of a second between Andy and Verbeke. And Timothy unfortunately lost some time there with that unfortunate crash right near the end. Lisa coming in 5th, fantastic surges and fantastic endurance effort there from Lisa, rounding out our top 5. And let's take a look at our live points tally before we jump over to race number 2. So coming in with 90 points in first place is Carl Axel, and then we've got Andy in second with 78, Verbeke 69 in third, Timothy 64 in fourth, Lisa 57 to round out the top 5. So while this was the big 3 times multiplier for the first race, it can be anybody's game for the next 2, because there's still a 2 times multiplier each, and they are our technical courses. This is what is going to sort the wheat from the chaff, and we're going to see perhaps some upsets going into this. So this is sudden lane change, and it is 4.7 kilometers total, 6 laps of 0.8 kilometers per, and a nice flat course too, so riders can kind of perhaps rest that resistance a little bit. And let's jump over to the course as our riders, our contenders if you will, get to perhaps pedal out some of that lactic acid they built up from the last race and get nice and prepared for race number 2. Oh, these barricades look evil. So this one is a very technical course. And very technical, and road makes it even harder. Nice smooth pedaling from everyone there. You're seeing the wattage nice and below the threshold of 421 watts. So people are easing themselves into it, which is fantastic to see. Nice big surges off the front here. There we are with Erhan. Oh, fantastic deployment of the uncrashable there. So it's 10-second usage time and 1 minute 30 recharge, but unlimited amounts. So every contender who uses the power-ups today is going to want to time them perfectly because of when they can come up again to be useful. Because that 1 minute 30 recharge time might catch riders out, of course. Fantastic riding here from Erhan. Knowing when to hold that power or when to ease off. Oh, Timothy will be glad for that power up right now. That wonderful power, wonderful effort. So again, if you're new to these broadcasts, how do people perform the steering? Well, they can do that with the Co-app or the companion app, which once you join CadeSport, you just open up the main menu, you get a QR code, scan it with your phone, and it will take you to a web-based, mobile-only web-based version of the game's controller, where it gives you that wonderful control system that you can see on screen there, and you can attach it via a handlebar mount to your handlebar for steering through your gyroscope. That's also where you can activate your brake and your power-ups. It's wonderful. I use it and couldn't recommend it enough. So Timothy here taking the lead, Karl Axel now in chase, Verbika taking third place, just pushing past Erhan there, and let's see where we go from here. So Andy, who did a fantastic effort in that previous race, is chasing up in the 6th position here. And Kathy G, I believe this is Kathy Garcia, wife of CEO Frank Garcia, in contention here in 7th place, holding really good stable rhythm. So again, this really could be anybody's race from here on out. Timothy beginning to open up a little bit of a gap, 2 seconds. Verbika there taking it nice and easy through the barricades. Karl using his uncrashable to make a big chase effort, because Timothy is not easing up on that gap that he has built. Oh, and he just wiped out at an inopportune time with these very difficult to navigate bollards or posts for literally anywhere else in the world that isn't the UK. Look at that good rhythm from everybody. Fantastic surges of power and also fantastic stability on that power, knowing when to temper. Everybody, as we've gone through the months of racing on here, all of our contenders are getting very used to knowing when to temper and when to surge. Oh! Crash give Erhan a bit of a chance to surge and catch up. So you can see those power numbers from Karl and Timothy are big power players in the road races. You can see when they're tempering and when they're surging, and it's almost expert. It's surgical almost. So Karl has taken that lead spot with that inopportune crash there, but Timothy is hot on that rear wheel. Erhan there putting in some fantastic effort to chase, as is Alfonso. Fantastic stuff. And confident enough to use the outside of those corners. A true consummate professional. Andy here putting in that surge effort for 6th place. Oh, another unfortunate crash there for Timothy, as we can see when the names highlight red there. We've got the USA's Andy Webber here live, dealing with this absolute zoo of posts that riders need to avoid. I'm glad that's virtual. I would hate to take on something like that in the real world. So Timothy here giving a fairly good effort here to chase, but it looks like Carl has opened up a good lead. Although, as I say that lead is evaporating. Fantastic chase effort there from Timothy. Look at that wonderful power. And easing off into the corner. Brilliant stuff. Carl using that uncrashable so that he can continue to surge to maintain that gap. Look at that, a deft hand through navigating these posts by both riders here. Oh, just sailing beyond that post. I wouldn't have been confident enough to go through that tiny gap, but good on you, Timothy, for doing that. Wonderful stuff. Timothy also deploying that uncrashable to get that benefit of being able to surge through the corners. Oh, and Carl nabs it. I think that was just about a second or just shy of a second between Carl and Timothy. So Verbeke and Erhan, contention for third and fourth position, respectively, as they cruise towards that finish line. So this is going to make some changes to the scoreboard, but I believe it'll still be Carl in the first place position on that scoreboard. Fantastic cadence rhythm from Verbeke as she cruises over that finish line. A nice steady cadence and speed from Erhan as he secures that fourth place position. So let's take a look at our leaderboard as it begins to fill up here, as it begins to populate, if you will. So only half a second, so I wasn't far off between Carl and Timothy, and Verbeke almost 45 seconds behind, 47 seconds behind Timothy coming into that third place position. And that really shows you how leads can open up in these technical courses that invite a lot of crashes. And let's take a look at our live scoreboard as that begins to populate as well. So yeah, Carl holding on to that top spot, and we have got Timothy in that second place position with 115 points, and an even third place position with Verbeke as well. So Team Hive holding on to that podium spots for now, but Erhan has pushed up to, or had pushed up to fourth until Andy crossed the line here. So rounding out the top five is Andy and Erhan. So there's really only 5 points between Andy, Verbeke and Timothy, but they have a little room to make up to catch up to Carl. But this is where it's anybody's game going into this third and final course, the High Andes, which is designed by CadeSport's very own Peter Castro. My apologies, couldn't get my words out there. So, and this is our climbing course, mountain bike course, and a very technical course. So it's going to be lots of resistance through the chain, lots of climbing, and lots of steering. So a fun one, that's for sure. Andy Webber off the front, putting in some very solid contention for taking the top spot. But let's see what these cornering... Oh, there we go. Yeah, the corners are going to catch a lot of people out. Real tight chicanes here, designed by Peter. Alfonso has claimed that spot from that inopportune crash. But Timothy is making his contention known. wonderful shots here of the high Andes, or hello to two fellows known as Andy. Terrible joke, but there we go. But no, high Andes as in the mountain range, of course, between the two largest countries in South America. Alfonso holding on to that lead, but it's neck and neck with Timothy as well. Carl is, of course, surging. He wants that top spot. Oh, this is a very tight corner. Catching many a rider out as we round said corner. Fantastic power here from Timothy, hoping to hold that gap. Planning ahead for any that may arise, I'm sure. So we are on the easy mode difficulty today. The crash penalty time is about 1.5 seconds, but that is enough for a rider who is gunning for you to open up a good lead if you happen to crash at an inopportune moment. So we're seeing here contention for that top spot between Timothy, Carl and Vanessa. So I think Vanessa has recovered from any technical issues she had, and she is gunning for it in this race. So it's a short course, but a sharp course. Alfonso here to make up for that time that has been opened up there by surging contenders. As is Lisa. Lisa is, I'm sure, emitting a shadow from her front wheel that is darkening the rear wheel of Alfonso as she gives chase. And look at that, Timothy just opening up whole cans of Whip-Ass. Like crates of cans, a 24 can pack, if you will. Now this was we're getting into, closing in, I should say, on that very tight bend that caught people out last time. Let's see which riders have learnt from that. So how can riders learn from it? Well, we do have the Cade Sports speedometer. If you are in the green with your arrowhead there, that is when you are going to be able to survive the corner pretty well. In the amber or the yellow, that is when your braking is going to be advantageous to you. And in the red, that is when you risk drifting out or skidding out and crashing into the corners or obstacles. So this is configurable to both metric and imperial, so kilometers or miles. And it's a wonderful tool to keep watching as you ride. It does make it also incredibly technical for our contenders, as they have a lot to watch and a lot to pay attention to, which certainly makes for very consummate professionals here in the races. So Timothy and Carl once again jostling for that pole position. It's like watching a dogfight of jet fighters or fighter planes. Just neck and neck, pure power machines. So holding close to get that draft benefit, making sure that they've got equal pacing, I'm sure, ready for the final sprint. So this could be anybody's game. And that draft benefit, while it will be lower because it is a mountain bike course, we have those wider mountain bike tires that have less inflation in them, that very hard grip that's all designed to help you stay stable on off-road and all environment courses, which is going to drastically increase rolling resistance. There will still be a draft benefit nonetheless. It will just be less of one. Oh, Carla's crashed at a fairly inopportune time, seems, as they were trying to stay neck and neck, trying to hug each other's wheels. Oh, Vanessa Maybe just holding that outside corner a little bit too close, but still in a good place to contend for the fourth place in this race. Erhan putting in his push to chase here, and obviously trying to keep that rolling resistance down. He has chosen a road bike, which will mean he's going to have to hold the cornering a little bit more cautiously, but can put big power down, as we're seeing right now on the rates. So Timothy beginning to really open up that lead. We can see the timer there ticking between 5 and 6 because Carl is holding him pretty stable in his chase. There we go, wonderful stuff. We're coasting into the corner, pedaling out. I love seeing these chase cams where we're following our pole position rider. Really wonderful stuff here. And we've even now got Timothy's first person perspective. These cameras are absolutely amazing. I love how it looks fairly realistic to a speed blur that you would have through your own eyes out in the real world. Wonderful graphics that are implemented not just by, of course, the team at Cyclogent, the company behind CadeSport, but via the Unity engine. Graphics that go from 1080p right the way up to 4K rendering at 60 frames per second. So, just 200 meters left. Timothy taking it nice and easy through the corners, knowing that this is the wrong time for one of those inopportune crashes. And then, oh yeah, this is that nasty corner that we were talking about. And just taking that nice and gently over that finish line to secure that win. Carl in second. So let's see what this does to the scores in just a second here. But Verbeke here, coming in for third place position, maintaining her place on the podium, staying nice and stable again to avoid any poorly timed crashes to keep that podium placement. Nice and stable, nice and smooth through this very nasty corner. Erhan staying within that top 5 by taking that 4th place position. And yeah, everyone's learnt from this venomous corner, if you will. Taking it nice and smooth through. Wonderful work, Erhan. And rounding out our top 5 is Lisa, an absolute powerhouse of a rider. So we've got our live results here. So Erhan rounded out the top 4, sorry. It looks like Vanessa has just surged past Lisa, so let's see who takes that 5th place position. It was Lisa. And Alfonso. Alright, so here we go. So just 3 seconds between Timothy and Carl, which is very impressive considering how tight and difficult to negotiate this course was. And then almost 45 seconds, or just over 45 seconds between Carl and Verbeke, rounding out the top 3. Erhan and Lisa rounded out the top 5. So, has this caused any major upsets to our scoreboard tally? Let's take a look. Oh wow, so Carl has held on to the top spot despite that first place position from Timothy. It's, what's that, 27 points between Timothy and Carl, but Timothy did a wonderful effort on that final course. Nothing to be ashamed of there for sure. And maintaining her spot in the last of that podium positions, the third place position is Verbika with 161. And Erhan rounded out, Erhan and Alfonso rounded out the final two spots of the top five, 130.5 and 120 points respectively. So wow, fantastic effort there from Carl. Absolute powerhouse, as we all know from watching these races routinely. And got wonderful effort from both members of Team Hive there to hold on to the podium as they did. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. As I said, you can watch these races live on Facebook, on the CadeSport YouTube channel, or on any of the many various methods of watching ESTV. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.